Hello, fourth graders. You finished your draft. Yay, these are my happy hands. I'm so excited for you. Today, we get to start revising our drafts, and revision is going to take us the longest amount of time in our personal narrative process. You should be opening up your personal narrative notebook to your resource page and find the anchor chart that says writing a lead that hooks your reader. Today, we are going to talk about two types of leads, but before we do that, let's read our mentor story together. Follow along as I read. Goal! Thud. The ball flew right into the goalie's hands. It was the last game of the soccer season. I was thrilled that it was almost over, although I had fun playing. Something had been missing this year. Maybe I'm just not meant to be a soccer player, I thought to myself, despite all of the hours of practice I had put in. I had yet to score a single goal. Towards the end of the first half, Allie passed the ball up to Charlotte, who looked across the field at me. "You've got this, Sam," she seemed to say as she booted the ball. I swung my right leg back and made a direct contact with the ball. It flew in the air towards the goal. Of course, the goalie was right there to collect it in her arms. "I don't even know why you passed it to me," I mumbled under my breath. At halftime, Charlotte came up and put her arm around me. "You're a great player, Sam," she said. "You always find a way to get open, and you have a powerful kick." The look on my face must have revealed how confused I was. She continued, I mean it." The whistle blew, and we were out on the field. Once again, Allie passed to Charlotte, and she passed to me. With a swift pivot and a quick sprint, I easily shook the defender who was trying to guard me. I was in just the right position to receive her pass. My right leg was at the perfect angle, and my left foot was firmly planted on the rubbery turf field. I looked up and saw the goalie on the left side of the goal. She was squatting with her hands in front of her, anticipating my foot striking the ball. I felt the inside of my cleat make clean contact with the ball and turned my foot a fraction of an inch toward the right side of the net, angling the ball upward. The ball flew into the air over the heads of the defenders. It landed in the top right corner of the goal, out of reach of the outstretched hands of the goalie. The girls on my team rushed to hug me and hand out high fives. Not only had I made my first goal, but it had put us in the lead to win our final game. My cheeks turned pink and a smile spread across my face, one that I could not get rid of for hours. Looking back on this game, I realized something I was missing that season was not skills or goals scored, but it was my confidence in myself. I didn't need to make that goal to realize that I was a valuable player on the team, but it definitely helped. Our mentor text of a personal narrative today started off with a very interesting beginning. I'm going to highlight it here. It said, thud. The ball flew right into the goalie's hand. The way a reader decides to start the beginning of their story is called a lead. When we're focusing on leads, or the way we start our story, we want to make sure that our leads draw in our reader and make them want to read our personal narrative. If our story starts in a boring sort of way, people might put down our personal narrative and not want to listen to it. So today, our job is going to be to brainstorm two different types of leads. In your personal narrative book, the first type of lead is going to be a sound. Sounds make great leads, and sometimes we call them onomatopoeias. Sounds are things like boing or kerplunk. Do you notice the punctuation I'm putting after my sound? Usually, sounds are followed by exclamation points. I want you to pause this video and think of some sounds that you could add to the beginning of your story. You should come up with at least 2 new sounds. Do that now. Now that you've paused your video and you've added a few more sounds, I have some ideas as well. Slam. Zap. If you like any of these, you're welcome to write them down in your anchor chart as well. Pow. Oof. You should have at least 4 sounds brainstormed for a different type of hook. Another way to start your story is with a question. Now, as you remember in my story, I'm writing about that race that I had with my dad. As I'm thinking about the story that I'm about to write, I could come up with a few questions to go with my story. I'm going to write questions for my story on my anchor chart. I want you guys to think of questions that you could start your story with. A question I could start with is, have you ever run a race? I could also say, have you ever almost died in the woods? Both of those questions have to do with my story, and they intrigue or engage my reader. Pause this video now and brainstorm 2 questions you could write as your lead. Now that you've written out your questions, I want you to think about the story that you've written. Would these be better leads than you already have? Tomorrow, we're going to be brainstorming a few more types of leads, and then we'll start revising our masterpiece. Thanks for listening today.